Welcome to the Hope Unlocked podcast. I'm your host, Kristin Kurtz, and I'm also the founder of New Wings Coaching. I help and empower wild-hearted and adventurous women of faith feeling caged and stuck unlock their true purpose and potential, break free from limitations, and thrive with confidence, courage, and hope. If you're curious to learn more about coaching with me, head to newwingscoaching.net and be sure to explore the show notes for ways to connect with me further. Get ready to dive in as we uncover empowering keys and insights in this episode. So tune in and let's unlock hope together. Welcome to the Hope Unlocked podcast. I'm Kristin Kurtz, your host. I pray this episode is like a holy IV of hope for your soul. Please help me welcome Joel Sheagren to the show today. I am so excited to have him on. We actually met at a local Minnesota Christian Chamber event, and God really highlighted him to come on the show. And I never want to, bypass when people are highlighted. So I know he has much to share. I don't know him very well, but we've had just some moments to talk before hitting record. And I know that he's going to have so much goodness to share through his testimony and what he's walking in right now. So Joel, before we get into that, would you just share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been a follower of Christ since high school. I had gone to the movie The Exorcist, and I grew up in a funeral home.
Oh,
and
wow.
I happened
For
to
real?
live for real.
Wow.
My mom and dad owned a funeral home, and it was in an old mansion, and our home was on one half, and the funeral business was on the other side. And I was trying to be an agnostic. I don't know. Just because you're in that rebellious age.
Sure.
And I had been invited to go to the movie The Exorcist, and I came home, and somewhere between the kitchen and the third floor bedroom, which was in the attic, I gave my life to Christ. And I knew what I was doing from a standpoint that there were a few things that had come together. I had guided in the boundary waters during that era that I thought I was trying to be an agnostic, and that had been broken down, sitting under the stars and seeing wind and storms and all of the aurora borealis that you see so often in northern Minnesota. And I was heading off to photography school, and I was going to do all the college things. And so I knew that I wouldn't be doing that. So it was a real decision, a very deliberate one. And I wouldn't look back. So I've been off to photography school and made a career of that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to go back a little bit because I feel like, you were how old when you went to go see this movie?
18.
18. Okay, so you go to see the movie The Exorcist. Like, what happened in the movie to transform you? Because I have never heard an exorcist salvation story before.
It is a little unusual, but that's how God uses all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
But the path is Christ, right? But the methodology can be all sorts of things. And in my particular case, the Lord spoke to me through story and through movie. And as a second grader, when we moved into the funeral home, all the way through that time frame, I would see things and experience darkness in real ways in that funeral home. So I had witches show up in my bedroom at second grade.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was pretty familiar with the unseen, and I don't know why I was trying to rebel or trying to deny it as to be an agnostic, but I'm glad God got a hold of my heart in the way that He did. And so the movie made sense from a standpoint that Christ, if you look real hard, He was lifted up behind the scenes. And I knew that God had created, just having spent 3 summers in the Boundary Waters. And I did have a friend who gave me a Bible about the
Oh.
time that I had graduated from high school, who was
Okay.
a follower of Christ. And so I had some reference points for Christ.
Hmm.
My parents had gone to a super traditional Methodist
Okay.
piece, and the gospel was somewhere in there, but not very, it wasn't overt.
Hmm.
But so all of those things just kind of converged. But I knew that I was following the living God. And
Hmm.
and that I had made a commitment, and I was shifting my identity from what I thought I was
Yeah.
to I'm going to be a follower of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's remarkable, and we're in this Passion Holy Week when we're
Hmm.
recording this, and it's
Yes.
just every year it's just like, oh my word.
Yeah.
This year, my wife and I have spent quite a bit of time going through day by day,
Oh,
from the time of Lazarus.
yeah.
And just why was he in Jericho, and why did the
Hmm.
crowd follow him in? Uh,
Love that.
and he was anointed twice,
Hmm.
once with oil, once 6 days ahead of time
Hmm.
on the feet, and the other time 2 days ahead of time at Simon's house. And we don't know who the lady was who anointed his head.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh my goodness, it's
Yeah.
just so compelling to follow after Christ. And
Yeah.
it's been an interesting journey.
That's a good way to
So,
put it. I say that all the time. It's an interesting journey. It's a wild adventure. Would you agree?
yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, this is hard.
Yeah. I mean, I was
But
just having a conversation with somebody yesterday that, I don't know about you, but I don't know, like I wasn't called to easy. There's some of us that have maybe some harder paths that we walk through, and everybody walks through hard paths. But um, I look at you and I'm like, oh, he's resilient.
mm,
He's resilient, and there's a reason for that. Like you're almost a general that's kind of leading an army into something. So
mm,
we were talking a little bit before we got started, and I can see, where this life has taken you, and there's a reason that you're able to kind of take a stand and keep standing. So, you're 18, photography school, believer. Like, what did that look like for you? I just want to make sure that we capture, kind of the leading into, you had a lot of visions growing up, and then you're able to take your, you're able to see through the camera in a different, like a lens and get professional training, right? Ever hear something on this show that stirs something deep, like a nudge from God that there's more? That's stirring. It's not random. I'm Kristin Kurtz, host of Hope Unlocked and the founder of New Wings Coaching, and I'm inviting you into a 45-minute unlocking session, a sacred space to press in, hear what heaven is saying, and activate your next bold step. If you're a trailblazer or kingdom voice ready to break free from doubt and live fully alive, this is for you. Book now at newwingscoaching.net/hope unlocked for special listener pricing. You were born to live uncaged and unapologetically bold. Now back to the show.
yep, yep. So during photography school, 20 years later, I'm hearing from a number of classmates that they've come to Christ because of that,
Really?
yeah. Um, so that's been kind of fun.
Oh,
That time has played out. I had a few years back, a roommate. I had did a project out in Colorado, and uh, I had reached out to see if my roommate was, if I could get a hold of him, and he says, "Yeah, I want you to swing by." And
yeah.
he had come to Christ, and he was anxious to tell me all about that story. So
Wow.
it's interesting to know that sometimes you're a seed planter and you don't have a clue,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. And in this case, I have a clue at least
Yeah.
a little bit years later. And so that feels good.
Right.
Um, but my real heart was in the world of advertising.
Okay.
And I landed here in Minnesota because this is a hub. It's a global
Oh,
hub
oh,
for
is it? I didn't know that.
yeah. During the late 80s and 90s and early 2000s, the world looked to Minneapolis
Hmm.
and the ad agencies. And there's a ton of support systems behind that, such
Okay.
as printers and some of the technical things that go into printing and
Hmm.
production, et cetera. And I happen to focus on the outdoor things. So Red
Okay.
Wing shoes and
Oh,
Polaris
yeah. Yeah.
and the outdoor board motor companies, all of them,
Okay.
agriculture kinds of things. So I've really been able to marry my outdoor passion with my photography passion
Okay.
and the passion of telling stories. And so I made a pretty good living at that.
Mm-hmm.
And then around 2006,
Hmm.
I got pushed off the cliff, so to speak.
Okay. So
And
20 years ago. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Because my identity had really become what I was doing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the career that I had quote built.
Okay.
Um, and the Lord was wanting me to refocus on Him. And so He took me through a process of intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a journey. Uh, and that
I
led
understand.
to a new identity.
Mm.
And that has led to purpose.
Okay.
And the purpose and all of that has now been converging in the last 9 years, I would say.
Okay.
So, and so 9 years ago, my son was diagnosed under the umbrella of FASD, which is fetal alcohol spectrum disorders.
Okay.
And according to the CDC, 1 in 7 women self-admit to drinking during pregnancy.
1 in 7?
Uh-huh. So
Wow.
that's a
Didn't know that.
minimum of 14% of our kiddos are impacted by alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
And our national health policy, I, I'm encouraging them to address this issue.
Yeah.
Because it's not being addressed.
Mhm.
So out of that 14%, the CDC currently says 5% prevalence, which is the behavioral side.
Okay.
The studies that I'm aware of, done by the same epidemiologist,
Hmm.
uh, advocates with their new report that between 7 and 9% of our population. So to give you a framework,
Hmm.
autism is 2.5 to 3%.
Okay.
And opioids
Hmm.
is 1.6 to 1.8% prevalence.
Really?
Yeah. So the impact, I advocate impact,
Yeah.
not just prevalence, because
Mhm.
the impact of alcohol creates over 400 coexisting issues.
Hmm.
Comorbidities would be the technical term. And so it can be anxiety, depression, it can be
Hmm.
lungs, it can be heart, liver, all of those kinds of things. It can be processing speed or a learning disorder. And because it's related to alcohol,
Hmm.
and because there's no physical trait that comes with our kiddos, there is a portion under the FASD umbrella called FAS, which is a little more commonly known,
Okay.
and that's the physical aspects. So
Okay.
alcohol has impacted the child enough that they have physical traits,
Okay.
but that makes up less than 10% of our
Less than
population.
10%. Okay.
Less than
What, like, just,
10% of that
yeah.
prevalence. Yeah.
What might be some like physical traits, like for those who, maybe, this maybe is new information for a lot of people.
Yeah. So, if you know what you're looking for, you would see eyes that are a little more separated,
Mhm.
lips that have a little different formation, but that could be anybody, right? And so it's really
Okay.
pretty trivial kinds of things.
Hmm.
It would be more of a physical trait that you would just, when you first see that person, you would just say, you would recognize internally
Mm.
that you're going to give grace to that person
Yeah.
in that regard, if that makes sense. My son and my daughter have both been impacted, and neither of them have any physical traits that you would know.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
So
So, tell us a little bit more, like this advocate impact. That's incredible because you're walking, like you've actually walked through this. And I guess I would be kind of curious, had you ever, or even your wife, had either of you ever had any like struggles with alcohol in your life or even generations past for you guys?
no, not at all. So
Okay, that's
the Lord,
amazing.
yeah, the Lord gave me a dream that we would unwrap this little boy.
Yeah.
This was a night dream, and we unwrapped him, took care of him, and then got him around friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And he was joined by a little girl.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, and in the dream, they were involved in a Shakespeare play
Yeah.
as little kids. And then
Oh,
at the end of the dream, they were bringing a lot of attention to God.
wow.
And
And this is
so,
one dream, like one
yes,
night's dream, one night's
correct.
dream.
Yep.
Okay.
Months later,
Mm-hmm.
we were at a conference that was not about adoption,
Mm-hmm.
and a lady tapped us on the shoulder out of the blue and said, "Would you guys want to adopt?"
Really? And this was just a few months later?
hmm
Okay.
And the conference was not on an adoption conference.
What was the conference about? I'm a very
The Holy
curious
Spirit,
person.
the
Okay.
Holy Spirit, and
Okay.
there's
Perfect.
there was
Perfect
a
grounds.
yeah. I'll give a little context. The MC had asked for prayer for those with infertility, and my wife and I
Oh,
had been married several years and plenty of
yeah.
passion and no medical reasons, but no kid.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that the dream related
Mm-hmm.
metaphorically to different parts of the business,
Okay.
uh, narcissistic. Uh, and this was in 2001 that I had the dream, and we
Okay.
were asked in 2002,
Wow.
August, first week end of August.
Mm-hmm.
And I blurted out, yes, pretty
Right away.
enthusiastic. Yes,
Like that.
just no hesitation. And as I was saying the word yes, I remembered the dream.
Wow. So
It
like
had
it just
come.
came back like full on movie back of the
Yep,
head. Hmm.
yep. And so the lady who asked us to adopt, she was working with a birth mother.
Hmm.
And she had had a prodding earlier that summer to visit a high school friend
Hmm.
and found out she was pregnant
Hmm.
and started working with her. And our son Sam was born 10 weeks later, and we brought him home from the hospital.
10
Uh,
weeks.
10 weeks, all legally, everything in place. And we weren't rushing. It was like, we've
Wow.
never been through this process. And
Wow.
yeah, so,
Okay, I gotta stop for a second. We gotta put pause on this. Back it up a second. You said yes right away. How about your wife? What,
oh,
when
big
you
time.
said yes, like was it a double yes? What was
Yes,
that?
she did not hesitate. I just
She didn't
happened to
hesitate.
be demonstrative that she tells me that I hollered it out.
Did you really?
I
Wow.
might have. I'm not going to
Yeah.
argue
Oh,
with
so
that, but she was
amazing.
1,000% on board. Yeah.
Okay, and she knew about your dream, right?
Yeah. But both of us had put that aside. That was 8 months earlier.
Right.
And it wasn't forefront. And
Wow.
we weren't thinking about adoption.
Hmm.
It wasn't on our mind. We had gone to Mexico
Hmm.
fairly often to help at a children's home. And of course, we had conversations, but not anything formal or anything we moved towards. There
Okay.
wasn't anything official whatsoever. It
Wow.
was more of, it would be nice
Sure.
to bring some of these kiddos home,
Hmm.
kind of those normal conversations that you might have when you're in
Yeah.
proxy with kids that need help. But not really any path to be able to do anything about that. And so she was 1,000% on board.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Yeah, really, really
incredible.
fun. Yeah, we met the birth mother a week later through the gal who tapped us on the shoulder.
Hmm.
Uh, and
Wow.
and it was really fascinating to watch the birth mother talk. We have an open relationship. We have her over for her
Oh,
birthday,
oh
and
wow, that's amazing.
yeah. So not lately. She has MS and she's not
Oh,
doing good, but for a
oh,
long time.
okay.
My son is 23 now,
Okay.
and probably until he was 18, she would come over for her birthday.
Okay.
Um, but she's not been, my wife talks to her probably a couple times a year.
Okay. Wow.
So it's a pretty open relationship that way.
Mm.
And my wife used to go to coffee with her because she needs a lot of support.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so anyway, it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh my gosh,
one
it's
one
beyond
story
cool.
that leads to
Okay.
another. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I say that because I didn't invent the story. God did, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I always like to say you can't make this stuff up. Like
Yeah.
you literally couldn't have conjured this story up, right?
Right. Right. And so we paid attention, but it took us 14 years to figure out what was going on, in particular with our son. And
Oh, really?
he's open to us talking about that.
Yeah.
Um, our home was 100% chaos because we did not know what was going on, and we tried to parent in traditional ways, such
Hmm.
as don't be disrespectful, and
Yeah.
you move towards that, and
Hmm.
it would escalate for 3 days,
Oh, wow.
because you didn't know what was going on. The chaos in the home is now maybe 1%, from a parenting standpoint, because you
Hmm.
shift. Traditional parenting and traditional therapies do not work for our kids.
Really?
And yeah, and so I had just produced a film that ran on the Hulu network, and I
Okay.
had two others in the works, and I just put those on hold to learn what is FASD and
Right.
how is it so prevalent, and we don't know anything
Hmm.
about it, and we're
Hmm.
educated, and
Yeah.
et cetera, et
So how
cetera.
did you like what was that first knowing of like that's what it was? Was there somebody that you ended up meeting? Like was there a connection? Was it like a, doctor? What did that look like for you guys to find out?
Yeah, so the starting point, there's a nonprofit in the Twin Cities area that specializes in this area.
Uh-huh.
And they're the ones who had done the diagnostic assessment.
Okay.
They had hired somebody, third party, or
Mhm.
I think they have people on staff now, but at the time they were subcontracting
Okay.
that support. And we got a diagnosis for our son, and it was just confusing because he played top tier soccer. He's smart. He's funny.
Hmm.
He could do
Hmm.
math in his head. He could do the first bracket of algebra in his
Wow.
head and be
Okay.
right.
Gosh.
Highly creative,
Hmm.
funny, just a really, but he just couldn't regulate himself.
Hmm.
Uh, and the list goes on of things that
Hmm.
how he was impacted. So
Hmm.
think of FASD in this way. If
Hmm.
a person's intoxicated, whether it's a little or a lot,
Hmm.
and the amount of alcohol makes a difference, right? And then the way alcohol impacts a person, some go into retreat, some go into, the fight mode,
Hmm.
some, you know, you can't figure out a conversation, all sorts of things, right? Take that intoxication away,
Hmm.
but leave the impact of the alcohol
Hmm.
with the child at birth for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I really advocate that we
Mm.
need to look at not just the prevalence, but the impact. Um,
Yes.
And so our daughter's been impacted, but she doesn't have the behaviors. She has other things that she deals with,
Okay.
such as sensory issues and processing
Mm-hmm.
speed
Mm-hmm.
and a few other things that are more serious, but not behavior.
Okay. And how old is she?
21 and married and
21.
doing really well.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So how did what is her name?
Matea.
Matea. And how did Matea come to be unwrapped? It's going back to the dream. How did she come?
Yeah. So because we're in an open relationship with the birth mother,
Mm-hmm.
she called us 2 years later and said, and we're like, well, take the girl. And so they're both from the same birth mother.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So they're
And we helped,
siblings. Oh my gosh.
and we helped deliver her.
You helped
Uh,
deliver her too?
yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So uh, every time I have goosebumps just every time I turn around. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a gift God's given us.
Mm-hmm.
And a story. And in that, it's really back around 2006, about the
Mm-hmm.
time that the business dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
I also got connected to anti-human trafficking efforts.
Okay.
And the passion just really rose up. And so
Mm-hmm.
justice has really been there.
Mm-hmm.
It got woken up, so to speak, in 2006. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was in preparation, I think, for addressing this issue because it is a huge, huge justice issue.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and it is a major contributor to homelessness, and
Mm-hmm.
homelessness
Mm-hmm.
is a major contributor to human trafficking.
Yes.
So oftentimes we talk about homelessness as a feeder to human trafficking, but
Mhm.
what's feeding homelessness?
Right. What's the why behind that?
Yeah, and it often is the mental health issues. And
Mm-hmm.
our kids, like, if our son wasn't in our home, he would be written off as a bad behavior kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if he didn't have the supports, he
Yeah.
has the supports and he knows um,
Mm-hmm.
and quite aware of his condition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so one thing has led to another, and in these last 9 years,
Mm-hmm.
he was diagnosed when he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
That I just put everything on hold,
Yeah.
and my calendar invites are going off, and uh, all sorts of dings,
Right? You're
heavens
fine.
alarms. There you go.
It's fine.
Um, so so 9 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I just really pressed in. And so that starting point was with the nonprofit that gave us some resources and pointed
Mm-hmm.
us in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I set out to learn how to parent him
Okay.
different. And I set out to do a documentary.
Oh, wow. Well,
Um,
tell us the name of your nonprofit so we don't miss that.
well, it's Embraced Movement, and it's a DBA under the human trafficking one. The
Mm-hmm.
board is like, well, of course, this is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
We address human trafficking and its drivers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and mental health is one of those.
Okay.
So we have a board that oversees the nonprofit
Okay.
um, and the DBA doing business as Embraced Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And so the documentary I set out, and
Mm-hmm.
I now have probably 100 hours of content.
Wow.
Yeah, so I could probably do two or three different documentaries,
Oh my
but
gosh.
they've become feeders of information for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from some of the world's leading epigenetics
Mm-hmm.
and kiddos like my son that I've
Mm-hmm.
interviewed, and moms, etc.
Yeah.
Um, and the project has become bigger than a documentary. um,
Sounds like it.
Yeah, so because the chaos has gone from 100% to less than 1%, and
Mhm.
there's a very specific process for that
Mhm.
to happen. It takes time, but it's
Mhm.
called metacognition.
Mhm.
So we help our son think about his thoughts.
Mhm.
Are you sure that you want to do that rather than this,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
opposed to get in his face and don't
Right.
do this and those kinds
Right.
of things? Traditional parenting, right?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
yeah. And our therapist, our son went through 9 schools to be able to graduate.
Wow.
And that was
Nice.
supported by, yep. And that was supported by, I don't know how many aftercare programs and therapy sessions, and none of
Mhm.
them, nobody knew anything about this issue.
My gosh.
Um,
That must
and
have been so challenging for him too, just kind of the having to move different schools. Was that a big challenge for him?
he's got some resilience too.
He does. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, it was,
Mhm.
especially when a teacher at a Christian school's mode of operation is shame.
Oh,
It's like, what? Um,
right. Oh.
but, um, but none of the professionals that in the school setting or the aftercare programs
Mhm.
um, knew anything about this condition. So its prevalence is, I'll say, on the rooftop,
Mhm.
but the awareness is in the basement about
That
this
is a
issue.
that is a great visual. I mean, say it again, just so
Yeah. So
somebody
the
remembers.
prevalence of of prenatal alcohol exposure and its downstream
Mhm.
impacts, such as fetal alcohol spectrum disorder,
Mhm.
is on the roof, so to
Mhm.
speak.
Mhm.
And the awareness of it is in the basement.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So through like your I'm just thinking of your documentary, have you put out, movies? Have you put out a lot of obviously ways for people to be more aware? Because with your gifting of the writing and photography and the videography and just your own justice, you put that all together. Whew, you gotta go back to the mansion. You have a mansion that will help bring people into that awareness and take that, from the rooftop to let's tear this thing down. And I don't know, this is what I'm imagining.
yeah. So, it takes time,
Hmm.
and the process for the documentary is, I'm about to revisit that. But it's from a visual standpoint. It's kind of
Yeah.
like I started in LA and went on a fundraising trip to New York,
Hmm.
and I took a quick left turn and went to San Francisco and to
Yeah.
write some books.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of where things are at. But in the
Yeah.
process, so the nonprofit, there's two business aspects. The nonprofit side of it for the documentary in
Hmm.
particular is the
Hmm.
Embrace Movement.
Okay.
And people can visit embracemovement.org
Okay.
and learn a little bit about the project.
Hmm.
Um, but as I was working on fundraising tools for the documentary,
Hmm.
one of the interviews that I did of a mother,
Yeah.
I covered that 3 different times because the story was pretty incredulous of what happened to her daughter, and her
Hmm.
daughter wasn't involved in the situation.
Okay.
It was a school story, and I had a friend by the name of Jody kind of cheerlead me.
Hmm.
Um, as I was writing the story,
Yeah.
for her to say, think about, help me to see different things that I might
Hmm.
need or want to add. And the intent was to write a narrative to go with the interviews.
Hmm.
Um, and we called it the school story. And Jody was my cheerleader.
Oh,
And a
so
few
great you got a
months,
cheerleader.
yep, yep, yep. And a
Mhm.
few months later, Jody called me and said, "Hey, Joel, do you mind if I snag the school story? I want to write a novel." And
Wow.
I said, "Well, I'll be your cheerleader."
Oh, how incredible.
Yeah, so she's put it under the Embrace Movement
Hmm.
banner,
Hmm.
but she wrote it on her own, and I was one of several people who were cheerleaders.
Oh.
Um, and and that is called Embracing Zach. And
Oh.
part of my cheerleading to her was, no, don't have Zach. Zach is our kiddo with FASD, fictional
Mm-hmm.
character. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you more about this whole kind
Yeah,
of crazy project here in a second. But
I love it.
I would call Jody, or we would talk daily, if um, almost daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, no, Jody, Zach can't be adopted. We're going to throw the white Caucasians under the bus because
Yeah.
you go on a vacation or you're at a wedding and you may not even know that you're pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and you drink. And it is a really more common
Mm-hmm.
problem in the suburbs than we can realize.
Yeah.
So, uh, and so I would give her that kind of cheerleading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was interested in writing the novel because we thought we had a donor
Mm-hmm.
to do the documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and it was going to be based around one of her earlier books.
Okay.
And there's another friend that I had invited into the team. His name is Justin Overlander, and Justin was one of the original producers for The Chosen.
Okay.
And I knew he had stepped away after 4 years. He had
Mm-hmm.
helped raise the money and produce the first two episodes,
Mm-hmm.
first two seasons. And he
Mm-hmm.
lives here in the metro area. And I called him
Oh,
and I
yeah.
said, "Hey, let's go to coffee."
Yeah.
And he politely said no, but he took the school story
You did.
and he did his own research and he prayed about it. And about a week later, he called back and said, "I have to be a part of this."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so Justin, Jody, and Joel, the three J's,
The three
were
days.
meeting were meeting with this potential fundraiser
Mhm.
for the documentary.
Mhm.
And it didn't work out for that book.
Okay.
It was too hard to translate it from that story into a film.
Okay.
And so when Jody was done with her draft, Justin got back involved and
Mhm.
he said, "I'd like to write the script for a feature film."
Really?
So we have a feature film called
Yeah.
Embracing Zach, based on the book called Embracing Zach.
Okay.
And this year we're uh, getting pretty serious about fundraising once again
Okay.
for that. So in the meantime, and part of that is because I've been pretty occupied writing a couple of
Mhm.
books, one
Mhm.
for parents called Embracing Hope,
Mhm.
and another one for churches called Embrace Neurodiversity.
Yes.
And we take our Zach and three other fictional characters. Our
Mhm.
kiddos are superheroes and they don't need their identity revealed. So we use fictional names
Yeah.
to tell real stories
Yes.
based on all of that documentary content.
How
Um,
incredible. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
so Jody, that was part of what I was cheerleading her. And so in her novel, she has Zach, Q, or Quentin for to represent autism, and
Mhm.
Shay to represent ADHD. She has
Okay.
an adult with trauma, and there's a reason for that. But for
Mhm.
our caregiver book and for our church resource and the other books going forward,
Mhm.
our trauma character is a teenager by the name of Kennedy. So four
Okay.
teenagers, Zach for FASD, Q for
Mhm.
Quentin, Shay for ADHD, and Kennedy for trauma. So two boys, two girls. And the reason we do that is our
Mhm.
kiddos' symptoms are often mistaken.
Okay.
Research, in fact, tells us that nearly 9 out of 10 times our kids are misdiagnosed.
9 out of 10.
Yeah, it's 78%, so almost 9 out of 10. Um, yep, they get missed, and we could get in. I could nerd out on all of that, but
Yeah.
the context from a more practical is what are the behavioral symptoms,
Mhm.
and they overlap. And so our audience is really not just for the FASD, but for autism and the other two profiles. So,
Yes.
and we start our caregiver book. We have what Carl and the third person that's on the team is Carl, and Carl and I have worked together on Zoom almost daily since for the last 3 years. We have conferences and vacations and other schedules, but I had called Carl because I was looking at how do I take the documentary content and how do, as a business standpoint, how can I parcel it out for other products, such as CEUs, which are continuing education units that teachers and others need. And I had called Carl because I knew he was connected to help families with getting IEPs.
Okay.
And I said, hey, Carl, I've got these 8 outlines for CEUs, and we could weave interviews in between. He goes, yeah, I'd love to, but could you help me with building out a slide deck? Right now, I'm teaching social workers in North Dakota. And I said, I'd be glad to. And in the midst of us getting college level sort of nerdy stuff together, Carl and I kind of simultaneously, we should do a book. And I said, and I directed it towards parents because that's what Carl and I know.
Yeah.
And he has kiddos with these 4 conditions. And our kids overlap in that. Our son is actually dual diagnosed with autism and FASD. And we're thankful for the autism, but I guarantee he does not have traditional autism. He has autism symptoms because of the alcohol.
Sure.
That's why it gets missed a lot.
Yes.
So, but it's official, and boy, does it ever help for him to get services, and we're super thankful for that. So it's easy for him when he's applying for a job to be able to say, I have autism and I need supports, and that's more connected in the workplace. So anyway, Carl and I have been working together, and because of that book idea, it became a parent book, and that's what Embracing Hope is.
Yes.
And Carl and I, in our ideation, were let's cover 15 core conversations that happen a lot. Impulsivity, understanding cause and effect, the difference between IQ and abstract reasoning, or adaptive skills, adaptive skills and IQ. Our kiddos oftentimes don't get supports because their IQ's a half a point over or a point over.
Okay.
But they're
just on the cusp.
Yeah. And in our case, our son is on the high end of IQ.
Okay.
He's on the high end of average, if not a little bit beyond that. But his adaptive skills are less than 1%.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where all of life comes in. He doesn't know if he's being taken advantage of. He doesn't understand abstract reasoning, cause and effect, and all sorts of things. And so very vulnerable, as we talked earlier about homelessness and human trafficking. Yep. So we've got 15 core conversations, and how we weave our fictional stories together is we lead the chapter with a fictional story using one of our 4 kiddos. And then we provide a definition, and we provide a little bit of what's worth noting. We put a framework around behavioral symptoms. And then we provide, for the most part, metacognition interventions. So you don't need a professional per se. We don't say not to go get a professional. That would be crazy. Right. But our professionals, by and large, are not trained in by metacognition.
Mm-hmm.
They're trained with what is called CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy,
Mm-hmm.
and that is super easy to code and to
Right.
uh, get paid for therapy, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work for our kids, not without other things that go side by side with it. But metacognition does work, and the reason we did that is it works in our home.
Mm-hmm. For
Evidence.
both of your households. It
Yep.
really,
Yep.
yeah.
And it's evidence based,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's something that somebody living in a rural area as a parent and
Mm-hmm.
may not be able to get to a professional.
Right.
So it provides them that. And
Oh.
then we finished that fictional story using one of the interventions.
Mm-hmm.
So a parent can see how an adult worked with a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
these anecdotal stories are like a page at the beginning, and they aren't very long. They're just long
Oh,
enough to frame it.
yeah.
We tell a personal story related to that topic, and then
Mm-hmm.
we provide two sections
Mm-hmm.
around the neuroscience.
Okay.
About we highlight just three brain regions
Mm-hmm.
that might be impacting, say, uh, control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that that's anywhere complete, but it gets you started to be able to talk to a professional.
Yeah.
And we do it what we call kitchen table conversation style.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not heavy research language.
Right.
Think of the amygdala like you're a weather station.
I love
You've got
that.
to predict the weather. And
Right. And it helps us grab it and take it in rather than just, things that are way above our heads.
yeah, yeah. And then we have another neuroscience section on the brain domains. And so there's 10 brain domains that are pretty standardized,
Mm-hmm.
which are, say, executive function and memory and those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of things. And we provide all of those.
Okay.
These, and here's the 7 domains that are impacting impulse control.
Mm-hmm.
So here's 3 brain regions. If you want to know more, they'll eventually be available on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And the brain domains, we really pretty much have to put them all there.
Yeah.
But we try to provide little tips in the midst of all that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's over 100 tips and there's over 70 interventions. So anyway, there's 15 chapters that are set up that way. The sandwich chapters, chapter 5 and 19, are
Mm-hmm.
a little bit different, particularly chapter 19, which is on sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We combine the trio of sleep, exercise,
Mm-hmm.
and food.
Okay.
So those can make a difference, right? And those are more bullet pointed sorts of
Okay.
interventions as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
story based.
Wow.
So, and then the church resource, we weave our same kiddos in there, but it's a lot less dense.
Okay.
Um, but before I go there with the church resource, the parent resource
Mm-hmm.
is really like a recipe book.
Oh,
It's dense in that it's 500 pages,
okay.
but it's not dense in the reading. So
Okay.
if a parent has an issue, say with their child's transitions or impulse
Mm-hmm.
control or whatever, go to
Mm-hmm.
that chapter.
Okay. So there's
And
like an index and you can kind of like go to where you need to go.
yep. And so it's like a half-hour read.
Okay.
It's not meant. It's intended to be a resource, not a novel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Incredible.
we've done a church resource because our kiddos get missed all the time, as
Yeah.
well, and misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set up more for uh, when you're working with Shay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how you channel her energy or her
Oh,
focus,
yeah.
and here's Kennedy's trauma
Mm-hmm.
concerns. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you might want to consider these kinds of things. It's not nearly as comprehensive. It's more of a reading resource.
Right. Awareness, like bring
Y-
awareness, right?
Yeah. Yep. And
Mhm.
so we plan to do the same for other areas uh, in our community that miss a
Yeah.
teacher, an educational resource.
Mhm.
We'd like to get done, and or a criminal justice one before the end of the year. So
That's
anyway, it's
beautiful.
become this system, if you will, to address a
Yeah.
systemic issue. And
Yes.
think of it. Technically, I think it could fall under the category of what is called a transmedia storytelling project.
Wow.
So think Star Wars.
Mhm.
That's a transmedia storytelling
Mhm.
project. You have books, movies,
Yeah.
comics,
This is
animation.
so beyond, right?
Yep, and you've got some Obi-Wan Kenobi
Right. Right.
and all of those that you recognize. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do is unify
Mhm.
our fictional characters in that way.
Yeah.
Carl and I are also working on some technology stuff,
Okay.
and we'll weave our kiddos into that in a different way.
So amazing. I just want to like just capture for a moment. Like you had this dream how many years ago, and this was God's dream for you. And now all these years later, you know, over a span of, how many years here, like how does it feel to be spearheading all these projects? And, I want to also just encapsulate too, like we can't do this alone. If you look at how many people you've come alongside with the triple J's and the double D, or not the double C's, the double C's, you've got the curl and the, we've
uh,
got, there's so much going on here that we can't do this alone. So you're sitting here telling your story, and I know you said that you had, goosebumps. And how does it feel to be sitting here right now and just kind of look back over, these decades and what he's brought you to and how you literally are the chosen one for this. Speaking of the chosen.
mm, yeah, honored, humbled. My goodness, I go for a lot of prayer walks. I take a lot of
Mhm.
breaks,
Yeah,
and
that's so good.
yeah,
You guys listen to that. I just want to make sure you capture that too. We need to do that.
yeah. I do a lot of journaling, and a lot of sitting. And something that I learned early on was, Lord, what do you want me to know, and what do you want me to do? And
Yeah.
in that kind of a time that kind of a framework. And that
Hmm.
recently, a friend of mine pointed me, are you familiar with Jamie Winship?
Jamie Winship. Yep.
And I'm like, no, tell me more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got a wonderful framework around
Yeah.
the journey that I've gone through. But
Hmm.
I've learned a lot of that from just things aren't going well. You get a car
Hmm.
repair that's way beyond the budget because we don't have income anymore,
Right?
and I'm going
Uh-huh.
to go ask Dad,
Hmm.
and I would ask those types of questions,
Hmm.
and and while I went out to ask a question on since we're on that note, as
Hmm.
an example, is like God will answer the why question if it's framed right. So I was on a
Mm.
prayer walk, just super discouraged that
Yeah.
finances, etc. And we had this enormous car repair and
Hmm.
did not have money to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I set out for a prayer walk to ask about that. What do you
Okay.
want me to know? What do you want me to do? And I'm along the Mississippi, and it's winter and it's sub-zero, and I'm in my big parka and
Yeah.
hoodie,
Yeah.
protected from the elements. And
Mm.
I stopped and looked at a tree that had died, and it was probably 3, 4 inches round, and it was laying at a 45.
Hmm.
And I looked back at the Mississippi and these big sycamores, and I said, Lord, why did this tree die?
Hmm.
It doubted its purpose.
Oh, oh my gosh.
And
Now
I'm
now you're gonna get me.
I'm like,
Woo.
what? Come
Mm.
again?
Yeah.
but it wasn't a why am I going through this? It was an honest question about purpose.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
didn't know it,
Mhm.
um, but that went on for just, I can't tell you it was an audible, but it might as well have been, right? It was just
Right.
when you're in that place of listening
Mhm.
and being quiet, God speaks.
He absolutely does.
And so I spend a lot of time
Mhm.
journaling about what do you want me to know and what do you want me to do
Mhm.
every day. And, it's how the ordering of the book that I mentioned, where you start
Mhm.
with story and
Yeah.
all of those kinds of came from that, right? Just
Yeah. He showed you.
listening. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so uh, we're co-laborers.
Yeah.
And um, I used to have absolute fun
Mhm.
producing ad campaigns.
Mhm.
I traveled the world. I was outdoors all the time. It was action,
Mhm.
and I feel like the fire of God is on me.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Like,
this is at a whole nother level.
yeah, it's beyond you. Like you can't do this without him. As you were saying, like ad campaigns, I heard these are dad campaigns.
It's one of the names that I think I've heard from the Lord that I'm a dad to many.
Yeah. A father to many. Yeah.
Yeah, and so and that makes sense because,
Mhm.
you know, I'm connected to my son, and at
Yeah.
23, he still
Mhm.
wants to hang out and
Yeah. What a
he loves to
blessing.
fish. And so I am his dad,
You
and
are.
he is at the home and he hasn't been kicked out. And
Yeah.
as many times as we've wanted to, it's like,
Yeah.
be
Oh.
gone from this home.
Mm.
But no, he's a joy and
Mhm.
a challenge for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so is life. But I
Mhm.
wouldn't trade it because the
Mhm.
challenge is really where I would say the anointing comes. You know,
Absolutely. The crushing, right?
yeah, and I was fortunate enough to have a pastor early on when the
Mhm.
business fell off that gave me some guidance that
Yeah.
has stuck with me, and we have revisited and gone for other walks.
Uh-huh.
That is like, I'm hearing from the Lord. My wife was, I know you're hearing from the Lord,
Yeah.
but make sure that you're talking this through with some accountability,
Sure.
that you don't walk
That's
off your own
wise.
cliff. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's again, we need people who like can even, prophetically see like, step into like what do you want me to know about Joel as that person who's walking alongside you? I often think of I just love people who are willing to step into building crazy things. So one of my favorite Bible guys is Noah.
Mm.
And I often I when I'm reading the Bible, I almost see movies in my head. And the movie that I once was seeing was Noah sitting down with his wife for breakfast after 20 years of building this ark, and she's just like, "What are you thinking?" And I think of like, well, Noah must have had some buddies. He must have had some buddy builders, his buddy like encouragers who lifted his arms. Because he kept going. And it was 120 years of going into this place of what looked crazy, probably to everybody in the neighborhood, quote unquote, right? So I love Noah. He's like my buddy. He keeps me
That's
going.
funny. That's
Who would
funny.
you say is like your Bible character that has kind of kept you going?
Oh, I parked in the Old Testament with those stories for years during this time.
Mhm.
And depending on the season, it could have been Daniel, could have been Joseph, could have been,
Mhm.
I read David probably 10 times.
Sure. Yeah.
I was trying to, it's like,
Yeah.
And that's probably where I started to learn, what do you want me to know and what do you want me to do? Because he would
Mm-hmm.
inquire of the Lord.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh, so God speaks, and he
Mm-hmm.
says he always speaks. He doesn't change.
Yeah.
So I need to inquire of the Lord. Like,
Yes.
what am I going to do about this car repair? I'm scared, Lord,
Yeah.
that we don't have the money. And
Mm-hmm.
he did speak to me
I was
after
going to ask, how
after
did
the
that
tree.
all turn out?
He said, "Yeah, there'll be movement tonight, and you'll have everything you need by Monday or something like that." And I was like,
Okay.
that was pretty specific, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened.
Okay. Well, what happened then? You have to tell
Well,
us
that
exactly what
night,
happened.
my wife's an artist, and that night somebody showed up and they wanted to buy an art piece from her. So we had some cash
Yeah.
that night, and I had done, I think, two projects in all of 2006, and they were both editorial. And
Okay.
editorial pays a fraction of what the advertising world does.
Okay.
And one I had done. Um, I forget, early September, and here we are in November, and I hadn't been paid.
Okay.
And I had done another project for them, probably 3 weeks earlier,
Okay.
and those two checks came together on Monday. So one paid,
On
one
Monday?
was on Monday.
Oh,
So it
wow.
came. One was 3 months behind, and the other
Oh
was
my
a
gosh.
week ahead. And so it's
Okay.
like,
Yeah, and
I,
yet it was like right on time, right?
yeah, and that's never happened in my career.
Oh my gosh. What a testimony though,
Yeah, so
right?
we learned a lot of things on how
Mhm.
to listen to the Lord in that way.
Yeah.
And but I'm super thankful for those that don't know Jamie and Donna Winship. They have a remarkable framework to put around
Yes.
the things
Yeah.
that I could not have articulated. I just knew
Yeah. They're
that I
amazing.
had gone through intimacy that led to identity that led to
Yes.
purpose, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely. It's
and
beautiful.
yeah, and so this project, I really feel like the
Hmm.
fire of God is on me, and
Yeah.
because I just wake up and I'm passionate about it, and
Hmm.
I don't feel rushed in it.
Yeah.
And when I do, I go for prayer walks
Yeah.
anyway, but
Yep.
I, I,
You're like,
I
I'm
will
gonna do another one.
purposely shut down if I get
Yep.
anxious.
So good. Well, we're gonna wrap up. I feel like I'll have to have you back on again when, the more continues to, it's like these launchings happening, continue to launch. The question I have for you, because, I don't know who's gonna listen to this, but I'm a huge connector, and I believe through you sharing your story that there's gonna be connections that'll come to you if that's needed. So what does Joel need? How can somebody come alongside you to help you, I like to say, birth these things? What would that look like? What is your request?
Yeah, thank you. On an immediate sort of advocacy side, I would love
Mhm.
to connect with Robert Kennedy if somebody has a connection that
I
way.
was thinking about him. Hmm.
Um, our national health policy does not have mention of prenatal alcohol exposure, and there's over 428, probably closer to 450. I have a PDF
Hmm.
in our nerdiness on
Yeah.
every one of them
Okay.
that are related to the downstream impact
Hmm.
of prenatal alcohol exposure. And I'm not trying to question them. It's like,
Hmm.
it's more of an encouragement.
Hmm.
And can we get a recognition of prenatal alcohol exposure
Hmm.
so that we can address it appropriately? The chaos is out of control in our country.
Hmm.
And if it happened in our home, it can happen in other people's homes, and I want to help with that. Um,
Right.
and um, on a fundraising side for the feature film, it's
Hmm.
such a remarkably prevalent issue.
Hmm.
And it's not just our four characters will be in the feature film as well. So it's not just
Hmm.
fetal alcohol, but the awareness really needs to happen. And the
Yeah.
story that Justin scripted is like the book. It's just a really warm underdog story that wins the
Hmm.
day.
Yes.
And it would be really an honor to work with somebody that could see that vision.
Hmm.
And that can be done through a donation or an investment. The nonprofits involved in that feature film.
Okay.
And then probably on a little bit more day-to-day kinds of things, Carl and
Hmm.
I could use some, he's really good with tech and I'm really good with story.
Hmm.
But really what we need is somebody to help us in the context of just developing the business
Hmm.
with the apps, with the books, with the
Hmm.
speaking,
Hmm.
those kinds of things.
Okay.
So those three things would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and if people want to reach out and pray, I
Hmm.
do have kind of a semi almost monthly prayer letter
Oh,
um, just about the project.
yeah.
And that's actually on my to-do list today. So
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. If listeners, if you're hearing him, share some of these things and your heart is getting nudged and you're maybe feeling that fire, please reach out to Joel. So with that being said, what would be the best ways to touch base with you and contact you?
yeah, I will. I suppose your show notes
Yeah.
have that. So it would be contact at
Mm. Okay.
embracinghopebook.com.
Okay.
At this moment, that would be the email.
Okay.
And the website is embracingneurodiversity.com.
Okay.
And there's a dash between embracing and neurodiversity.
Okay.
That would be more connected to um, the for-profit side of things. And
Okay.
you can go to, so I'll give you three URLs.
Yeah.
So there's embracedmovement.org, and
Okay.
they can fill out a form and contact me that way. You
Okay.
can go to embracingzach.com. That's about the movie.
Okay.
And there's a link, I think, under Jody's bio to the book, to the novel.
Okay.
But that would give you a context for what we're doing with the feature film. And I believe that there's a contact there.
Okay.
And then
Mm.
embracingneurodiversity.com with a
Okay.
dash between the two words.
Okay.
And there's definitely, we're building the website. So the other two are finished.
Okay.
We should be finished here by the time this is released with
Wonderful.
at least the basics of the
Yes.
website. So
Love it. Well, you're on the right track here and just thankful for the work that you're doing and your heart to keep on keeping on. Um, as we close today, I want you to think of, I shared that I do this for the one. If you would think of that one who's listening in today, any other words of encouragement or just, drop of wisdom that you want to leave with this one today, and then would you pray us out?
yeah, so why don't I do that in the prayer?
Yeah.
Um, so Lord, those that are discouraged and not knowing what's going on with a loved one, with a cousin, a neighbor, a friend, I pray that these would be practical steps that that they can find hope with,
Hmm.
and to really know that God is a God who listens.
Hmm.
When we ask, He really does answer
Yeah.
in really practical ways. And so I would pray that you would encourage those that are struggling to hear, just to put the doubt aside
Mm.
and to really press in that God wants to talk to me. He tells us that He lavishes His love. And so we thank you, God, that you lavish your love upon us and that you do, in fact, want us to walk in our purpose. And I pray that those that are struggling in that area, that they would find a strong footing
Hmm.
to be able to walk in their purpose and their identity. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Well, thank you, Joel, so much for coming on, and thank you for being such a brave voice who's setting so many free. I'm going to close with the Hope Unlocked anchoring verse, which is, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope." And that's Romans 15:13. So thank you again. We will definitely have to have you back on if you're up for that. And I will be back with another episode next week. Thanks, listeners. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.